Okay, so it's July 4th and getting ready to go and do my workout. I hope everybody's having a terrific quarantine July 4th holiday. It's my birthday today, and so I was going to do a formal YouTube video, but honestly, let me turn that volume thing off so that Disturb doesn't come on. Okay, so anyways, I was going to do a formal YouTube video and I decided, nah, I would not. I'm just going to keep it simple. But before I get ready to go into the gym and before my preamp starts to kick in, and any of you gym goers that have taken preamp before, you know it starts to get you all kind of jittery and caffeinated. So I just took my preamp. I don't always take it, and I take a pretty small dose. So that means in a workout I might have, I don't know, 100, 150 milligrams of caffeine running through me. But sometimes it tends to get me kind of jittery. So if I seem a little jittery at times, because I just took it, okay, welcome to my world. But before I go in, I thought I'd do something kind of fun. And I'm going to address on my 53rd birthday today the number one question I have been asked my entire life. And I would say probably, well, maybe not my entire life. I would say starting about the time I hit 30s, 40s, and into my 50s. And it's not anything fitness related. Okay? But the number one question that I've been asked is, how do you look so young for your age? I've been asked this repeatedly by not just women, but by men also. It's just the constant, how do you do it? Because I will be 60, obviously, in 7-8 years. And so I thought just for fun, I would address that. And it does have a fitness element to it. So let me just kind of briefly explain. When I was in my early 20s, and this video is for people, men and women, actually, not just the women, it's for men too. This started really in my very early 20s. It did not start in my teens, although it did help I didn't use drug and alcohol in my teens, obviously. It really didn't start in my teens. I was raised in Eugene, Oregon. I was probably blessed because I wasn't exposed to a whole lot of sunlight, whereas when you live in some of the other areas, you might be raised under a hot, blazing sun. Florida, Arizona, obviously, Phoenix, areas like that. So you have to kind of be attentive to that. But being raised in Oregon, there was not a whole lot of the sun that we have. So that, I think, has a small element. But it's not the big part. The biggest part is in my early 20s, I decided to intentionally take really good care of my skin. It was purposeful. I think that's a good word to use. It wasn't an accident. It was purposeful. In my early 20s, I went and had, I guess you could say, my first skincare lesson. And it was a gal who worked at Emporium in Eugene. And one of the things that she taught me, she said to me, if you want really good skin as you get older, you need to make sure that you exfoliate your skin. A lot of women don't exfoliate. Men too, yes, men can benefit from exfoliation. It's just a scrub that you put on your face and your body. You can make a simple one. You don't need to buy expensive ones from stores like Lush and all that. They're going to charge you $20, $30. I think during my college days, I made a really simple one with sugar and honey. That was it. With sugar, honey, exfoliated my skin with it. Well, I was in the shower, rinsed it off. So I've taken years to take care of my face. You don't need to buy department store stuff. I think a lot of people are sold that you need to go and buy this really expensive product, face cream. You don't need to do that. Not unless you have a medical condition as to why that particular product is going to benefit you. Otherwise, you really don't need to buy that. I would tell you, don't waste your money on it. I use Dove. I use oil of, you know what? It's getting hot in here. I'm going to turn on the car. Hold on just a second. I told you this was informal. Okay, there. That's why I don't die of heat here, because my car is registering 93 degrees. Okay, so you don't need to go buy expensive skincare products and all that. Okay, you don't need to get sold on that. I use stuff drugstore. I don't think, for a short period of time, I bought expensive skincare stuff, Clinique, other brands like that. Found it really didn't do anything different than the regular department stores. It's not how expensive the product is, it's whether or not you'll use it for its intended purpose. You also don't need to stay in the same line. I don't stay in the same line. I will use a Dove face wash with an oil of Olay moisturizer. Yeah, it's ideal perhaps to stay in the same line if you can. It's not mandatory, and I think I'm pretty good living proof of that. You need to make sure that you're smoking and you're drinking. Big no-nos if you want exceptional skin in your 50s. Okay, I mean, we're talking exceptional skin. Unfortunately, those things do dehydrate your skin. They take a lot of what I like to think of as the healthy cells, and it pretty much destroys them. If you're going to do that, you need to be really intentionally moderate with it. But spending your Saturdays and Sundays, regardless of your age, sitting in a smoky bar. I don't go into bars, so I don't even know if you're allowed to smoke in bars anymore. I generally don't know because I don't go into them. But if you're allowed to, that environment, even if you don't smoke, is all on your skin, and you walk home with it or you drive home with it, and it's on you. The other thing too, and I know this is going to disappoint a whole lot of people that don't like to work out, you got to exercise. It's a lifetime. I had a conversation with a lady about 2 days ago, won't say where, and she came up to me, and I'm used to people approaching me in gyms or, even at Walmart. I'm used to it. And she said to me, she said she was going to work out until her rear end got to the point that she liked it, and then she was going to consider that good. Now she's probably about in her 40s or so. Doesn't work that way, folks. I wish it did. You can't spot reduce. You can't sit and go, well, I'm going to make this one part better and everything else, I'm good with that. It doesn't work that way. Fitness is your whole life. It's like taking care of my skin has been my whole life. Not drinking, not smoking has been my entire life. I will admit, though, one time I picked up a cigarette and I was in 6th grade. And I was at a girlfriend's house, and she's actually on my Facebook page, but I'm not going to say who she is. But she knows who she is. And I tried a puff of a cigarette one time, and that was it. And I never did it again. And I was in 6th grade. Of course, it was done behind our parents' back, all right? But that's the closest I ever came to smoking, and the closest I ever came to drinking is when I turned 21. I got drunk intentionally. Spent, I think, the next 2 days recuperating. Couldn't figure out why people liked it so much. Decided it was not for me. And after that one incident, never did it again. And I don't drink. But fitness is something that has been with me all these years. And when somebody says they want to exercise for a wedding, or they want to exercise just till they get their arms the way they like it. Well, let's say you could. Let's just hypothetically, because you can't, okay? Let's hypothetically say you could get it just to the point where your arms or your butt or your abs, whatever body part, looks the way you want. What are you going to do after it gets there? Even if you could spot reduce, are you going to stop? Because if you stop, it's going to go right back to where you were before. Now what are you going to do? And now you're older, okay? And the older you get, the harder it gets to get fit. So now you're doubling the investment and time you're going to have to take it back to where you had it. I have to be honest, as a person who deals in the world of fitness, I am shocked at the number of people who say, well, I worked out years ago and then I lost it all. Why is that a surprise? That shouldn't surprise you. That's like saying I saved up a bunch of money and then I lost it all. Okay? You have to invest. Fitness is an investment. It's like a savings account. You have to constantly keep doing it. You can't, save and then decide you're going to stop, never put another dime into it. Okay. It's kind of like a lifelong project. Fitness is the same thing. That's why in earlier videos, you've probably heard me say, fitness is like a savings account. So when somebody says, how do you look the way you do? at each of these ages. And like I said, I've been asked this over 20, 30 years. It's because it's one little step that I took that never stopped. I didn't stop at 30 and go, well, I guess I'm done with really good skincare. My skin looks great. I don't need to do anything. I didn't stop at 40 and go, well, you know what? I understand fitness better now. So, I'm pretty happy with the way my, body looks. We'll stop it at that. It's a constant drumbeat. If you are in your 20s and you happen to be watching this and you want to look good, above average good, in your 50s, in your 60s, you got to start right now. You got to start when you're in your 20s. You got to start when you're in your 30s. You even have to start when you're in your 40s, because hopefully, you'll live into your 70s and 80s. Okay, at least that's my goal. I intend to take my insurance policies for all they're worth and live as long as I possibly can, as long as I'm healthy, of course. But when people sit and they say, how did you do it? It was really understanding and doing it with intention. I remember being in my 20s and not, at the risk of sounding, that I'm being impolite. I never wanted ever in my life to be simply out of shape and to accept that. That was a personal choice that I made. That decision started in my 20s after I had a hysterectomy at 27, when I realized that if I was going to maintain any sort of fitness, it wasn't going to be automatic. It wasn't just going to be handed to me. I was going to have to earn it. I was going to have to work for it. And that decision has literally driven me all of these years to keep at it. It wasn't so much, believe it or not, so I could look great in 20s, 30s, and 40s. I wanted to look terrific in my 50s and 60s. I wanted to look the best that I thought I could be, performance wise, not necessarily just in, looking pretty, but in the sense of I wanted to be as strong as I could be. I wanted to be as fit as I could be, because getting older is not, as we all know, it's not physically easy on the body, even in the best shape people. And so I always knew that if I was going to look a way in my 50s that I would really, really accept and that I would like, I would have to start in my 20s. It's never too late to start. It's never too late to be 45 years old, be 20 pounds over what you want, and start working for it. And I think it's really important that people understand that. Exercising and looking good in a bathing suit isn't just for the 20-year-olds. And if you are in your 20s and you want to look good like that in your 50s, you're going to have to do what I do. Okay? You got to make fitness a lifetime project. And also, as a final note, it's not about all these Botox injections that people get. You know, I have some eye wrinkles, yes, okay, but I'm supposed to. I'm 53. I don't have a lot. But even if I did, and this is the best I could look for 53, does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Okay. So people go running out and they get their lips plumped up and they get their cheekbones done, their nose done. I don't do any of that. I accept aging just simply as it is. My hair is pretty much, it's natural gray color. Some of the black is still growing out, but for the most part, this is all natural color, okay? Because I've been growing it out now for almost a little over half a year at this point, the natural gray. So anyways, just some thoughts for you to think about, okay? Being 53, I say started in my 20s. And am I happy with the results? Yeah, I'm pretty darn happy. Would I like flatter abs? Yeah, I would. Would I like maybe, slightly smaller thighs? Nah, I've learned to accept that as a plus. See, you get to the point where you just accept certain things, all right? So anyways, accept you the way you are at the age you're at. If you don't like something, go ahead and start changing it. Go ahead and start fixing it. It doesn't matter what your age is. But for those that are in their early 20s, 30s, and for all the years of questions that I've been asked about, how do you look the way you do at the age you're at? It started decades ago. It did not start last week. It didn't even start a few years ago. It started in my 20s. It was purposeful. It was intentional. And this is the result. So anyways, happy July 4th. Have a safe, hopefully COVID-free holiday. All right, talk to you later.